Hello everyone, welcome to this new video. In this video, we'll have a discussion with Dr. Waleed, who is the founder of UBIAI API, which is a really interesting tool that helps us to easily fine-tune LLMs and also prepare the dataset for the fine-tuning process, including labeling and data extraction from different type of documents. We will go through first the need for building this tool, and the different features that he offer or this tool offer, and also we will discuss different use cases that we can use this tool for, including a demo for these different features and different use cases. So let's welcome Dr. Waleed and start the demo.
Thank you, Yusuf, for having me today. I'm going to present UBI, and we're going to talk specifically on the benefits of fine-tuning LLMs and why you should fine-tune your own LLM. So if you look at the current state of the land or state of the affair, most people will basically default to using the bigger models, like GPT-4 models, because that's what's available, that's what's the most known. So that is basically the default choice. However, this comes with huge disadvantages. So GPT-4 is a really big model. So we're talking about 1.7 trillion parameters. It has been fine-tuned or trained with 1.7 trillion parameters. And as you can imagine, this huge monster or elephant is actually has a lot of disadvantages. So one of them is actually expensive. So for specific tasks, let's say you just have like a very specific task where you just want the model to be very highly accurate. The model basically becomes very expensive. So we're talking about like when you're trying to process millions of requests like a day, this becomes super expensive choice. Second is the accuracy. So I was referring to it a little bit. So the accuracy also is a big issue. So when you want to focus on a specific task, let's say like information extraction, you want to analyze contracts, extract specific clauses, the performance is a hit or miss, basically. Sometimes it gets it, sometimes it doesn't get it. So you never reach that really high level accuracy that's really required for enterprise setting. We talked about the speed. So because it's a huge model, the speed is an issue. So if you have a very transactional use case where you really need to get the data back very quickly, this becomes an issue. Privacy, as you can imagine, you don't own the model. So the model is owned by OpenAI. I mean, it belongs to your account, but at the end of the day, they actually it's hosted in their servers. So you really don't have much control over what data is being used, like your own private data is being used for whatever reason.
For training the model or updating the model.
Right. Yeah. So you really have to trust them to basically make sure that that's the only way to do it. So this is a big issue, especially for like enterprise where the data is very confidential, like PIIs and people's like social security numbers and names and so on. So if there's any breach that happened to OpenAI, you pretty much screwed. So that's a big issue as well for enterprise. And finally, hallucinations. So because it's generic AI model, so it has been trained on a lot of Reddit and forums and all sort of non-related context to your business, this can actually hallucinate and just create something like fictional stories or fictional facts, which is a big issue. So if you take into account all of these issues, the question is like, what's next, right? What can we do about it? And there's a trend right now toward using smaller LLMs, open source LLMs, like for example Llama models, and fine-tuning them. So there was a recent study where they show basically, I think they published a paper in Archive about fine-tuning the performance of fine-tuned LLMs versus foundational generic LLMs like GPT-4. And I think they basically tested it and benchmarked on multiple tasks, such as information extraction, text generation, summarization, and they found that actually on most tasks, the fine-tuned LLMs basically outperform the generic huge LLM like GPT-4 for the majority of tasks. I think there's only one task that it was lacking. They were lacking behind, and GPT-4 was winning. It was coding. So coding was kind of the only task where most of the fine-tuned model underperformed. So yeah, this basically this is a huge because it enables companies and users to train their own LLMs and don't rely on something they don't really control. And more importantly, is they can really make it super accurate for their specific business case. So yeah, there's pretty much this trend right now that's going toward fine-tuned open source LLMs. So the question now is, when does it really make sense to fine-tune, right? Do we, is any case or any task, for any task, we should fine-tune the model? So that really depends, right? In this graph here, there are two important factors. So the first factor is the accuracy requirement for your task. And the second factor is do you require any external knowledge to be able to accomplish the task? So let's say, for example, your task doesn't require high accuracy, right? Let's say like you're just generating text, like a poem or something. And it doesn't really require external knowledge. You don't need your business, documents. Then probably generic LMs are fine. You can just prompt engineer it, prompt engineer GPT-4o mini or for O, and then just get the task done. Now, if you go on the other hand, let's say the accuracy is not super important, but the knowledge required, your business knowledge required, is very important. In that case, retrieval augmented generation plus generic LLMs are enough. So let's say like you don't need the LLM to reason in a very defined way or in a style that follows your business reasoning. Then retrieval augmented generation alone is enough. Now, the next, if we go to the next kind of the higher accuracy regime, and where you don't need your external knowledge, fine-tuning is important. So let's say you want to have really high accuracy, we're talking about like 95% and higher of like information extraction or summarization or classification. In that case, you need to fine-tune your LLM because the generic is basically not enough. And now if you go to the other regime where in addition to high accuracy of the model itself, like could be a reasoning task or, as I said, extraction task, you also need your own knowledge to be brought into the picture. In that case, you will need retrieval augmented generation plus fine-tuning. So this is where, for example, we're talking about like customer support. Like you get like questions about your products, and you want to get an answer based on your business documents, but also you want to get like an accurate answer, not like hallucinated answer. In that case, you probably need to fine-tune your model plus doing retrieval augmented generation. Any questions so far about this part?
Yeah, I think this is really very interesting because like usually people first try to go directly to fine-tuning, but I think you have first to define in which stage you are, because it will save you a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Yeah, I mean, fine-tuning is not really something that should be done lightly. It is an investment, and we're going to talk about it later on. So you really need to define your task really, really well and test the generic ones first.
Yeah, usually it's really good to first just start with prompt engineering and see if it fails or not. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So there's prompt engineering with like zero shot, few shot, text learning. All of this, I think, for me, falls under prompt engineering.
Yeah.
So yeah, so what is the kind of to fine tune, right? What are the challenges to start like really fine tuning your models? And there was a survey that was done not sure when, but there was a survey done where they asked developers and data scientists, machine learning engineers, what are really the most time-consuming tasks in your daily life? And if you look at this chart, you will see that everything that's related to data, like data collection, data cleaning, labeling, aggregation, is basically almost like more than 80% or like 80% of the time that's spent in the entire project. And fine-tuning itself is actually a very, very small percentage. Right now, it's becoming like very streamlined with different like techniques like LoRa and QLoRa and so on. So the fine-tuning itself is really not that difficult. There's a lot of libraries that you can use that you can do it very quickly. So most of the time and the challenge is actually in the data preparation. And so basically the lack of quality data is really the main bottleneck to create like high quality models. And yet, if you look at most of the AI platforms right there, like fine-tuning platforms, they will offer you way to fine-tune your model, but then it's basically they leave you. It's up to you how do you get that data first. And that disconnect is actually making a lot of project fails, and it makes like the entire process fragmented. Like it's not like streamlined flow. And this is where we come in. So basically, UBI, we try to solve this issue in UBI. And we created a platform where everything is integrated together, from data collection to data basically labeling, where you can label your data and review it, all the way to the fine-tuning process. So you start with, we accept different type of documents and data, such as PDFs, Word documents. The next step is to basically review it and tag it and label it and clean it. And the final step is you can fine-tune your LLM in a very streamlined way. So we don't only support LLMs, but we also support deep learning models in general. So Llama is an LLM, but Space is another model, deep learning models, transformer-based, and so on. So we cover basically anything from deep learning, smaller models like BERTs, all the way to like LLMs, smaller LLMs, like 8 billion parameters and so on. And so basically, the process to get started is very easy. So first, you upload your documents. So this could be your contracts, could be your clinical notes, or whatever information you want to use it to train. After that, you label your data. So labeling is basically teaching the model what's important, what's not important. We support different tasks like named entity recognition, relation extraction, summarization, and also text generation. Second is you fine-tune your LLMs. So we basically allow you to, with few clicks, you can basically fine-tune like Llama 3.1 and Mistral based on the data that you have reviewed and collected. And next is evaluating the models. So this is another, I think, lack in the field is there's a lack of evaluation. So we provide you with all the metrics that you need to basically evaluate your model, like F1 score, precision, recall, confusion matrix, and so on. And it really helps you to narrow down and pinpoint where your model is having issues and where it needs to be improved. And finally, once you're happy with your model, so let's say you finish the evaluation looks promising, it has high performance. Next is you can deploy it actually with just a few clicks. So we provide you with an API endpoint that you can simply use and deploy it into your application. So the task that we support today, we have multiple tasks, as I mentioned earlier. The first task is information extraction. So let's say you have a document that's pretty complex. Let's say like a clinical note or like a medical report, and you want to fine-tune the model to understand it and to extract specific information from it. So you can fine-tune it in UBI. We also have text generation tasks. This could be summarization, text to SQL, like JSON, like consistent JSON output, like training the model to consistently produce a consistent output. Yeah, we support different basically text generation tasks. And the final one is basically text extraction and basically NER, name entity recognition, that you can do directly on a text itself. So yeah, these are the main tasks that we support today.
Yeah, very interesting. This actually will make it very easier to extract data for fine tuning and training for the tasks. I think like the labeling part is usually very time consuming. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So the labeling is really the most tedious part in this whole process, and we made it super automated, and which I will show later. You can actually use an AI, an LLM, to help you with the labeling. So you have like an AI agent that can help you with labeling the data much faster. So you can do it quickly.
Yeah, and actually, if you want to like create an instruction-based data set, so you can, like, this will be like the answer for the instruction, so you can give it, so you can prepare your instruction, or you build your instruction-based data set.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I'm going to show you actually in the demo. After this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now it's I'm going to show you the demo and how it works. So before we jump into the demo, do you have any questions first that we should address?
No, I think everything's clear.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's jump into the demo. Go here. And do you see right now the platform?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the UBI platform. It's designed specifically, as I introduced earlier, for fine-tuning LLMs and deep learning models, plus creating your data set for it. So the first step is to go here, and this is the data set, and you create a new data set. So these are all the data set I have for different tasks. For example, let's go to one task here. Let's go here. So here, in this specific case, I'm preparing a data set to fine-tune an LLM or deep learning models to extract specific information from my document. So the first step is basically to label the data. So let's say I have these are my fields that I would like to extract and teach the model on. So for example, we can label directly here. Let's say we add vendor name. Okay, so let's say I want to teach the model this is a vendor name. So all I have to do is simply highlight and assign that field to it, vendor name. So now it's assigned. Let's say I wanted to learn how to extract the total price. I can simply highlight here and assign the price, the total price tag. Right. So this is, I just finished tagging right now. So this is one example. So you need to provide at least 50 examples of these so the model actually learns from it. And I was mentioning earlier that we have a lot of automation in place. So if you go, let's say you're busy, like you don't want to label and waste time in labeling, you can actually go to this AI labeling. So if you go to the arrow, go configure prediction. Here you can actually select LLMs. So we have different type of AI you can use. Let's say we want to use an LLM, and then you have different type of LLMs here. So right now we support GPT models like GPT-4o and 4o mini, but also Gemini. So I can simply select the LLM I want to use. Let's say Gemini. Select here. You can see all the labels. You can add description for them to guide the model, to extract better. Then you press save, and then you press on predict. So here, the model is going to basically look at all the labels that you provided and look at the documents, and then try to automate this process. So here, as you can see, the model came back with an answer. It extracted the vendor name correctly. The address was correct. Address. Item descriptions are correct. The total price is correct. The tax here, let's say the tax is not correct. I just want the number. All I have to do is simply press on this delete button and simply highlight the right. And here we can add tax. Yeah. And this is the vendor name. Also works on handwritten. So let's say your document is handwritten, scanned, like this one here. You can actually also label it easily. So yeah, this is basically the automation in place. And imagine you can do this on not just one document, but like hundreds of documents or thousands of documents at once. So you could auto-label all your data in a matter of like 30 seconds. And then simply...
Yeah, does it work only in English, or it can handle maybe other
No,
languages?
it can handle multiple languages.
Yeah, nice.
French, German, English, Arabic, Hebrew. Yeah. So yeah, this is one type of task we support, which is basically document extraction or information extraction. Here I'm going to show you another task that we support, which is for text generation. So here I have, what I did is I uploaded my Medium articles to the platform. Oops, not this one. Yeah. So I upload my Medium articles to the platform, and here what you can see, this is what you mentioned earlier, instruction tuning. So basically, I give it a prompt, like a system prompt, and you can edit this. Obviously, you can edit this and change it. So you can give a system prompt, a user prompt. So in this case, I'm telling it you're an AI expert who writes very relevant, high-quality articles. Write a blog article based on the title below, and I give the title here. And the response is actually my article that I wrote in the past. So basically, I provide about 50 examples. That's all you need. The more, the better, but 50 is the minimum. So after I provide 50 examples, I can start fine-tuning the model on my own style of writing. So this will help the model to basically, instead of producing like fluff and like very AI stuff sounding, you can actually make it write in your own style. Yeah. And let's say we also just added a new feature here. You can also generate, if you don't like, if you want to change your response, you can actually edit the user prompt, the system prompt. You can select different models. Let's say I want to use GPT-4o to generate this example. So I can just select it, select the temperature, and then I can press generate. And then basically it will generate the response instead of using my own response. Yeah. So that's just one example, but you can imagine you can do this on many text completion tasks. Right. What I showed you earlier was only for like content writing and fine-tuning on content writing, but you could do it on many things. Like in this case, I fine-tuned it, which is super important. I fine-tuned the model on outputting consistent JSON structure that I want. And this is super important because you can imagine when you have multiple applications talking to each other, you want to make sure that the output of one application is consistent and predictable. And if you look at generic LLMs, sometimes they will adhere to what you tell them, and sometimes it will just add like a letter, or it will add like a comma or something that will completely destroy your application. So fine-tuning here helps the model to always adhere to the same structure. So I tell it, okay, this is my system prompt, my user prompt, this is what I want, and this is the response I expect. So if you give it now 50 examples, it's going to basically always adhere to that structure. And yeah, so this is text generation. Any questions so far about the data preparation part?
Yeah, so like the very first example, the annotation part, can I use it to create an instruction based that's it, so I can like give the model this input, the one on the right, the reset, and give it the labels generated, and maybe the instruction will be find or annotate this file or extract information from this file.
That's a good point. Yeah, we will add it soon, so we don't have it yet. But basically, what you're referring to is in the text input here. What we're gonna do next is you'll be able to upload like a PDF or a scan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
right? And then give it like the response. Let's say you want a
Yeah.
summarization of the document, right? Like, please summarize the document. You give it like a PDF,
Mm.
and then you give it the response of the summary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that right now you have to copy paste the input,
Mm.
but in the future you'll be able to upload like PDFs, images, and so on.
But yeah, actually, you can use the other tools to do this. So you can maybe, so you can use like the other tool to extract the text and maybe feed it after that. But you have to do it manually now. But maybe after that, yeah.
Yeah. So actually, the platform, you don't have to use another tool. So the platform also extracts text from images.
Yeah. I mean like other tool from the platform. Not,
Right. Yeah. So yeah, so those are the main tasks. You can do classification, summarization, text generation. Pretty much every task that's relevant to enterprise, you can do in UBI. Okay, so we prepared the data set. We're happy with it. The next step is to actually fine-tune the model. And to fine-tune the model, you just press new model here. And then you simply assign the data set to it. So here I'm going to show you a model that has been trained already. So when I open this model, I go to more details. I can see that the data set here that I used. So I can quickly see the data set. If I want to change anything, I can simply go here and then just modify this data set or this document. And here, after training, you get in this dashboard, you get basically the score. And this is where evaluation is super important. So this will give you the F1 score of the model, of the LLM. In this case, it's a BERT transformer we fine-tuned. You also get the score for each field. So in this case, I'm just showing the named entity recognition task. So it gives you the score for each field. And the way it measures the score, it basically takes your data set, this data set here, and it splits it between training set and test set. So you have 80% training and 20% test. And then it kind of measures the score based on the accuracy or how compatible are the prediction compared to the ground truth. You can even check the metrics during training. So let's say you run it on 300 epochs or iteration. You can see basically all these metrics real time. So what's the loss, for example? What is the F1 score for each iteration? So you can see here at 100 iterations, start jumping, start going up. Recall and precision. All of these are important. For example, this will tell you when to really stop. Like, do we need 40 iteration, or do we need 300, or do we need 140? So this will give you an idea. And finally is the confusion matrix, which is very important. So the confusion matrix is basically a way to quantify the model strength and weakness. So in this case, I fine-tuned the model on these fields, like to extract skills, experiences, diploma, and diploma major. So what you have on the x-axis, those are the predicted labels by the model. And on the y-axis, those are the actual ground truth labeled by you or your team. So when it says 37 here, what this means is there are 37 entities or fields that have been recognized as skills, but they're also skills as labeled as skills, so which is good. However, if you look at this here number, there are two instances where two entities where they were identified as skills by the model, but they're actually not skilled. There should have been a diploma. So any non-diagonal term is basically a weakness of the model. And here it gives a recommendation of what you should do, which entities you should focus on, and so on. It's kind of comprehensive, dashboard, like evaluation dashboard, to help you quantify the strength of your model and if it's ready for the big day or no.
Can I download the fine-tuned model?
Good question. So the deep learning models, you can download them, like we're talking about BERT transformers. But for the LLM models, open source LLM models, they are not available yet for downloading. That's what we're going to add next, actually, in the next month. So next month, you should be able to download the model like here. Right now, you can download this because
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So after you finish, let's say the score is good, like 95% accuracy, and you want to use this model right away, you can actually use it directly by copy pasting this API code. So we give you this API code, you put into your application, and then you just send the data to, and it will send you back the information in JSON.
Yeah. Can I fine tune the model multiple times? So if, like, for example, I find, so I can, fine, but it still saves the weights from the last fine tune, or I start from scratch?
The version control, you mean? Yeah. Right now it's kind of overwrites, so it kind of start from scratch. So if I click retrain model, it will basically overwrite the weights of the previous one. However, that being said, you can actually create multiple versions of the model, so you can have multiple models for different tasks, or different. Let's say you want to change hyperparameters, you want to change something, you can create different models from the same data set, but different hyperparameters.
Okay.
The same for data set here. So if you open this data set here, you can create multiple versions of the data set. Right now, there's only zero file. Let's go here. So you can create multiple versions of the data set. Let's say, you just added a new label, or you added more documents, more examples, and you want to compare the before and after. You can actually create multiple versions of this data set. And finally, here is the playground. So let's say you're happy with the model and you want to test it. You don't have to do any coding. You just go to the playground and then select the model. So let's say I have one for content generation, and you just prompt it directly. So you are an AI expert, content writer expert, write an article about quantum computing, since that's what's in the news these days, and generate response. So here, basically, the LLM, instead of using its generic knowledge, is going to use what I trained it on to basically create the article for me. So here it's this is the article that has been produced, and you can look at it here and check, the quality of it, and then if it requires more fine-tuning, you can always go back to the data set. You can add more examples. Maybe you want to change the data set a little bit, and retrain it, and then test it again. Yeah. So I think we pretty much covered most of the features in UBI right now. There are other features where you can collaborate with your team together to label the data quickly. But most of the main features, I think we covered.
Yeah, sounds really interesting. What about the pricing? So how it's calculated?
Right. So we have different tiers. So there's a free tiers, free tier, pay as you go. Basically, you can subscribe for free, and then you can go. When you subscribe, you have 100 examples for free that you can upload, and you have one model to fine tune for free.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and then you can basically use it and test it. And let's say you want to add more examples. You want to basically add more data. You can go to this plan and product here, and you can purchase individual batch of documents. So let's say I want to purchase 4,000 documents. I can do that. You can also purchase GPU time. So I think the free package comes with 1 hour of free GPU time. Let's say you want to train more models. You can basically purchase more GPU time. Yeah. The next tier is basically the growth package, which basically comes with 5 models with team collaboration and about 5,000 documents you can upload. And it's about, it's $299 a month for this package.
How much?
$299.
Okay.
Yeah. We try to make it like more accessible, to be honest, compared to platforms, especially when you combine all these things together. So instead of going to different platforms to create another platform to fine tune, another platform to deploy, we combine everything together where you can do it all at once.
Yeah, I think it's really a reasonable price for a business or for a startup. It's
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. If you have any questions, or one of the viewers have any questions, please shoot me an email and we can definitely discuss.
Yeah, of course. The mail will be like in the video description and also in the blog and the newsletter and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the presentation. So I'd like to thank.
Is it available for customers? Like, can someone now subscribe and start?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
So you'll find the link below the video. Once you post it, you can add the link. I'll give you the link that you can add. And then you can subscribe. As I said, there's a pay-as-you-go feature. Pay-as-you-go tier. You can basically subscribe for free and start testing and using it.
Great.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks so much, Youssef, for having me today.
Yeah. Thanks for the presentation and for this very, very nice tool.
Thank you. And definitely looking forward for people to use it, AI engineers, developers, and get their feedback about it.
Sure.
Perfect.
Yes.